세러데이 쇼다운 젠지 스포츠 대 디플러스 기아.
For Hunter Life Esports, started off with a rocky finish in LCK Cup, 10th place. They did not face KT there as they were in the same group. They face off for the first time here in 2026 to potentially reclaim first place from the bottom to the top. Bard will be taken away immediately here by KT Rolster. The Rumble, pretty self-explanatory. Guma's Varus, but also just Varus in the hands of Zeus would be a problem.
Yeah, Varus in the hands of anyone, not allowed. Karma, definitely a good choice. We saw that get through in game 1 of our last series. That was a mistake, especially in the hands of Keria.
See if the Orianna is the final ban here for Hunter Life Esports. Cuz gets his hands on the Pantheon. For Kanavi, Jarvan, and Xin have been the MO. He has played those two champions in almost every series. They will, in fact, prefer to ban the Jarvan over the Pantheon here. We'll see if that Pantheon ban does come through for Hanwha Life, or if they've got their eye on that Orianna that BDD has been so fearsome on.
Yeah, don't give BDD Orianna. I don't care what you give Cuz or Aiming or Perfect or anyone. Do not give BDD Orianna. And they will listen. I mean, you don't want to give Orianna to pretty much any mid laner right now, but especially not BDD.
I don't think BDD wants to first pick Azir here into Zeka. They're going to take the Pantheon. Now, on the other side, it feels like a pretty face-up Xin pick here for Kanavi, just because that has been what he has preferred in almost every single situation when it is left available. What comes with it gets a little bit more interesting here, because they could look to draft for the bottom lane, and that is where they pivot here, Ashe Seraphine. So a lot of power here for Hanwha Life Esports on the bottom side, and they can reserve that third pick for either a counter pick if BDD shows his pick, or the jungle here for Kanavi. They don't even have to get Seraphine here right now, but it could be a risk. Could end up being another lane they face with the Ashe, and they do decide to commit, which I think is the right call.
Yeah, it's not like they're going to take away the Xin Zhao, so just pick them both up here. It does make it very predictable what your third pick is going to be, so KT get a little bit of extra information, as it will be the blind Jace into Annie for BDD.
Okay, so very strong mid-jungle synergy here for KT Rolster. That Azir is not locked in. It is just a hover, so don't panic. So looking for a potential Aurora into this one. It has been one of the more punishing picks into the Annie.
Yeah.
And our best mid laners are piloting this pick to great heights, but instead they look for the counter pick to the Jace, which means they will lose Kanavi's Xin Zhao in the second banning phase.
Yeah, it feels like the bans here will be Xin Zhao and Aurora from the side of KT Rolster. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else you would want to ban away instead, especially after we just saw the Aurora hover.
And this is not necessarily a bad call here for Hanwha Life Esports. It's just a rare sacrifice that Kanavi is going to give in the draft. We almost never see that. It also means that we're really going to get that test, right, between Perfect and Zeus. We have seen the Yorick be a great counter pick, but it has also failed in this matchup. Some overextensions. The Ziggs is taken away from Aiming. The Xin does fall. And like you mentioned, I think we know where that final ban will be going. It'll be the Aurora.
Yeah, I mean, there's the other option where you say BDD just deal with it, and they ban a second jungler against Kanavi if they really want to kind of put him on something not very good, not very high tier.
I've been kind of dancing around it, not talking about it, because even though they have a great top side here, KT, and we know what their bans are going to be, this bottom lane's going to take some salvaging, right? They lost the Ziggs, and the Zeri Yuumi, which has been a nice all-in lane into the Ashe Seraphine, is now removed with the Yuumi ban. So it's going to get a little bit more complicated. Now, they leave the Aurora, actually, here to Hanwha Life Esports, and ban the Nocturne instead. Yeah. We have seen a lot of different tanky junglers pair with the Ashe Seraphine, like Mundo in the past. Vi could certainly be a strong pick here. It's very Kanavi colored as a pick, but not the greatest setup in this draft for it just yet. Can follow up on arrows, can set arrows up. Great single target. And it looks like it will be the lock here.
Yeah, hovered all the way until the end. Nautilus got a lot of focus in our first series. Also, has been picked into Ash Seraphine before just to say, well, yeah, we're going to lose lane, but we have a go button.
Blitzcrank was one of the picks I thought about here. Blitzcrank Callista.
How about Ezreal Nico? The 8-game loss streak for Ezreal might continue.
But you're just not with a whole lot of options here, right? The Blitzcrank lane is incredibly risky and very binary in its success or fail down there on the bottom side. And trying to play like Lucian, for example, would have been incredibly tough. They're going to commit
Effort,
to
like,
more
freaked
engage.
out there at the end. I'm not sure, like, maybe he wanted to play Nico? I don't... What did he mean by that?
A little bit of a...
Garen!
Garen mid lane.
Garen mid.
I
Well,
think this might
HLE
have been a
came
mistake.
prepared.
I'm going to be honest, Atlas, I think this might be... is this actually real? We're going to find out, but...
I think it's probably a mistake. Although...
I'm going to guess that this is probably an accidental lock-in, but not one that they can reverse without good reason. So we will wait for the confirmation on that, but for context, on the Korean League of Legends client, it is listed alphabetically, and Garen is the first champion that comes up. So that's why you see him hovered a lot.
Also, Garen, to make a case, in case this is real, you can absorb the burst and then kind of ignore the Annie, heal up, and, you know, go in. But it is a misclick, so... Garen mid lane, not going to happen.
So here's how the ruling works for misclicks. If you immediately, this is a new rule actually that came in fairly recently. If you immediately notify the referee, and the referees who, by the way, are watching this have audio, have your mouse cursor, can very clearly see that it was an accidental lock-in. Instead of what we used to do in the past and go, haha, too bad, guess you probably just lost the game, we actually allow them to get the repick with no penalty. As long as it is instantly given over. So I kind of had a feeling this was not intentional, but I liked your justification. I thought it was a good one.
You know, just in case we ended up actually seeing it. But yeah, Zeka kind of had a sheepish grin. He's like, no, not today with the mid Garen or the mid Yorick, God forbid. So they wanted to pick Aurora.
Yeah, that was the pretty obvious one that they didn't ban, right? We talked about KT did not ban that one, instead went for the Nocturne ban. And so I think that it is going to line up. Kanavi is right.
Right about what, though?
Oh, he smashed the Digivice? He's not going to evolve to Greymon? He needs that Digivice to evolve to Greymon, otherwise he's stuck in Agumon form. Like that, he'll look like that. I mean, it's his favorite, but he would like to get stronger by eating the orange tank, or just an orange in this case. We've got some great fan signs to buy time here, Valdez.
Yeah. I like Agumon's claws. He kind of looks like a little duckling. You know, he's got like little paddly feet there.
So we did end up having the Ezreal Nautilus, right? And then this ended up being a misclick by Delight. Should have been the Aurora. So now that we have that settled, I'm not sure if a warning is given. I'm pretty sure it is not, actually, because as epic as the Zyra lock-in was for KT so many years ago in the Worlds qualifiers, where they were able to get a win by accidentally picking Zyra, and as fun as it can be and sometimes as silly as it can be, we've kind of moved past that, which I think is great.
Yeah, I'd rather just have a real game be played, you know.
So Aurora here into the Annie, there's a lot of pressure there. Aurora Vi, strong combo, Yorick, counter matchup, and they have the Ash Seraphine. I'm a KT predictor, but if I look at these two drafts, I feel like Hanwha Life Esports have all the tools to control this early game, which is where they have thrived in their insane run since their first loss to T1. They have just been winning, and just the train has not stopped rolling, and their wins have been more dominant than KT's, you could argue. And this draft gives them all the right tools. I think they have a great setup here. Let's see what the early game looks like. Let's see if they can use this prio. And this Nautilus pick here for effort is a curious one.
Yeah, tons of engage on this side with the Annie, Pantheon, and Nautilus. The Nautilus has been finding some good success. even in losing lanes. So definitely going to have to get through the Ash Seraphine this time against HLE, as it looks like we're ready first versus second place as we hop onto the Rift for game 1. Alrighty, game number 1. As we're nearing match 45, which is the last match of round 1. So in case you guys are wondering when we do move over and get the rematches to begin, that will be on Friday, second match.
That's right. So every single match until then will be the last match for all of these teams to play through to get their 9th game in. And man, this mid lane matchup is very tense. It's one that BDD has to really skate quite a thin line on because they both have Electrocute. He has his stun to set that up, but Zeka, because he's Aurora, actually has a lot of tools, actually does not avoid that last auto. It's those small things that can be what BDD needs to try to weave through.
Yeah.
This matchup is really hype, right? Who's the best top laner in the LCK? Jace gets early power, but the follow-up, once you get a few levels in, once Yorick gets a few items in, he's going to have side lane control.
Buzz? You're level 2. We've seen some early ganks, but a level 2 gank? It is Pantheon, and now I think they're going to realize, oh, here's the heal. And Cuz down the bottom lane, there's the flash, and the forward flash from Effort locks up Guma, as that's first blood already for KT.
Guess we know why they picked the Nautilus. All you got to do is follow up. You hit that stun, and Guma buys space there with his flash, but Effort is able to follow flash the dredge line and get them first blood sub 2 minutes. And Delight's hooked as well. That's not going to matter, but Effort is just ready to go. This is, by the way, it's been targeted against him so many times, even though Nautilus has been banned a lot. This is Effort's most played pick by a large margin. It is his favorite pick, and it always has been across so many teams. He loves the Nautilus. So Guma flashes here, still gets stunned. The flash follow from Effort, gets the dredge line down. The level 2 gank was the answer to the Ash Seraphine. And Guma is a bit bewildered.
Yeah, didn't quite hear what he said there, but you could tell just by his mannerisms and the way he said it that he was not very happy.
If I made it out correctly, but I'm not 100% sure either, I think he said it, oh, well, level 2 gank, huh?
Yeah, that's what I would say in that case, you know. Weird. Pantheon's already bought.
And now Guma's down flash as well.
Kanavi looking for mid here. BDD feeling safe as he's already put on the pressure. BDD, though, with flash and no Aurora to worry about. Just kind of walks away from Kanavi. Says, cool story, bro. Or HLE in this case. And continues putting on the pressure in mid.
It took me a second.
Yeah. We'll have Bro on Friday up against the DN Supers.
Are they the first match of round 2?
No, they're the last match of round 1.
Okay, that's a banger. That was, I think, Woodid's pick of the week. Pretty interesting one.
Very curious to see if Ezreal can pick up a win in this series, because I do feel like, you know, the Ezreal Nico, I'm not really as much of a hater as Wadid personally, but it's kind of interesting that there's so much there's so many picks of the Ezreal, and yet he just keeps losing, even though he's picked so early on.
So many teams on our east side, eventually potentially be Rise Group, have been picking it up early, like Lazy Fuel and Teddy in drafts, and they haven't been finding a lot of success as a team. So I think the stats are a little bit weighted by that, but more recently we've been seeing our best teams pick it up as well.
He said, by the way, going back to what Guma said, he said, level 2 gank, interesting, funny.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah.
All I heard was the level 2 gank part of it.
Yeah. Okay,
well, KT off to a pretty good start here with an early gank. Pretty good pressure in the mid lane. Like, BDD is winning the lane. You know, obviously, Annie could do a lot of stuff early on. She has her stun at level 1. He got the Electrocute proc early, but BDD has been pretty good, as Zeus also in trouble.
Yeah, he is going to take a lot of burst, but not in danger of dying. Zeus can just TP back.
Yeah, he had not teleported Perfect his full health because he had, so is going to be totally fine here. Perfect not able to transform an additional time there to get the Q
I like Cuz in the way he's playing this early on, just extremely aggressively. You know, the early gank down the bottom lane. He's playing Pantheon. It's the first pick. He knows that there's so much value in the draft for the first pick, as now the aggression continues, but it's not Kanavi. There's the shock blast, the flash forward. Nice response from Kanavi to get away. And now KT pretty deep in the jungle. But you can see that Zeka's going to be kept around by BDD.
Wow. KT are playing like HLE. Maybe the sword and shield metaphor maybe required to be reversed. With the way this draft works here for KT, it's not a shock, but really incredible aggression there on the top side. I don't think it really worked out the way that KT wanted it to there on the top side, since Kanavi was able to secure a lot of his stuff anyways. But Flash is traded from the junglers. Perfect. Knew that Zeus had that late TP and had a whole wave to catch, so it was going to be impossible for Zeus to rotate over first. It was measured aggression, though, I will say. BDD dropped Tibbers to gain that tempo prio, which he does have right now, a significant CS advantage. Zeka's catching a lot of that, but BDD is really maintaining so much control here in a matchup that we've seen so many people destroy the Annie in, and Zeka is one of our better Auroras.
Yeah, I think especially, you know, the trades we saw at level 1 were not very good for Zeka, and BDD was kind of abusing the long range of the autos from the Annie and did a bunch of chunk damage, as Zeka was not able to trade it back, so probably did stem a bit from that, but still counts regardless of how it happened. And BDD just continuing to put on a lot of pressure there. Effort has been hiding around the tri-bush quite a lot, making Guma and Delight maybe a little bit scared, but with the Ashe, you get a lot of safety with your Hawk shot.
Yeah, it's really powerful to be able to flash the wall and look for a dredge line. Now, they have not seen Kanavi yet, so I hope for effort's sake he does not think this is the opportunity he's looking for, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. This wave is going to be cleared. But this is a potential Dragon opportunity now for HLE, especially with BDD backing at this timing. They're going to Hawk shot through here, clear out this ward, and that should be HLE picking up this first Mountain Dragon without any resistance. As even though Cuz has his ultimate, it's just not going to commit. Man, with BDD not having teleport, I don't think Cuz can really impact anywhere on the map. The position of Zeus is too safe. BDD isn't back in lane yet, and the Dragon is just gone. It's going to instead just go for Raptors.
Yeah.
Wow, a Mountain into Hextech, so potentially going to have like a Chemtech here.
Yeah, Chemtech.
Ocean. Or Infernal?
Infernal or Cloud.
Yeah.
You know, those are the other two options that we have. Zeta's coming in here just making sure, seeing what he can see.
Well, I mean, the fact that Cuz
invading.
The fact that Cuz doesn't ult there, the Dragon goes over for free, there's no aggression in mid, he's like, it's got to be somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And, in fact, Cuz was just kind of chilling because it wasn't a great opportunity. He knew it. And after what happened at level 2, can never be too careful tracking this Pantheon. Plate going over to aiming maintains a pretty significant but not game-breaking or warping lead here. As Cuz is with that topside control that he had earlier, going to start off Grubs first, see if he can get this one without Smite. He will. So should be able to get at least 2 of these if there's even a contest at all.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, Zeka gonna not too much. At this point, you know, if your Ezreal's ahead with the Nautilus in this lane, like, you're feeling very good. Like, I would take that on my team, even over the Ashe Seraphine. As now we're looking for a dive here onto Perfect. Already jumped out a little bit. There's the ult. Perfect has his flash, but he never really gets a chance to use it, as here comes Cuz. And he is gonna land a stun on the Kanavi, but that's about it, as Cuz is alone here.
They had to see that coming earlier if they were going to make the play for it. Now Cuz is down his ultimate, didn't get anything for it, so there's no cross map available. BDD, and you know, controlled this mid lane a lot of the game, wasn't able to rotate up, and I mean, hitting a lot of this poke down here.
All right, gonna throw out a bunch of stuff into that bottom lane, but aiming has to flash away from the arrow just like that. So KT start the fight, and Guma kind of ends it.
Yeah, aiming took teleport, doesn't have barriers, so I think realizes, uh-oh, if I get caught by this, I'm not going to be able to stand my ground, even with the damage done to Delight there. Guma is just going to rip through his health bar. Guma has the more powerful items right now as well in terms of that clash, had they faced off. Looks like BDD already used his Tibbers for a little damage. Watch this again. Knows where Pantheon is. He's aware of the possibility of this, but Perfect is already at half. So he commits the ultimate in, but Really just doesn't get anything. Gets the flash out of the Yorick, but I don't think Zeus is too worried about that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because if they're not diving a new ult there, it's like, wow, you look really silly. Like, what are you doing ulting when the Vi isn't even there? The Yorick just backs away. But, you know, if you wait for them to show, then you're late, as we did see.
And if BDD is trying to drop a wave to come over and protect, then they just don't dive, and Zeka gets an advantage. So it was a really tough situation for KT's Kanavi.
Oh, Kanavi, excellent flash there. Had vision of BDD, and essentially flashes ahead of the play. And now Cuz getting a little bit caught up here, has to flash away, but Effort now engaging. Looks like KT does want to disengage at the same time, though. Zeka not quite able to find the Pantheon on the kill, as now that Seraphine ult has to be flashed. And look at the bottom side of this fight. Kanavi gonna be locked up and taken out by BDD as the damage is not there. KT's so low.
True Shot's coming up as well. They have to be really careful.
So many of the members are just out of the fight.
True Shot
super low as
True Shot
barrage. Is it gonna hit Zeka? Yes, it does. But immediately a kill goes the way into light, and now BDD slowed up by the ghouls and gets knocked down by a shovel to the face.
Really even trade here across the board, but the kill going over to the Ezreal feels fantastic here for KT. As I was watching that cooldown, knowing that there is a global impact that this Ezreal can make, and Aiming was able to predict the movement there. His shot was actually pretty far right, but he knew that they were kiting back, and it ends up connecting there. If it doesn't, it's a significant advantage for Hanwha Life Esports. At the end of the day, though, still a pretty even trade. Great flash from Kanavi, you called it out early. Now they're in a bit of trouble. With its Effort's fearless play on this Nautilus once again, that helps turn the tides. Perfect gets the Q onto Zeus there, pushes a bunch of damage on the Zeka. Cuz has the blast cone to escape, gets away from the ghouls, and then this gets a little bit more interesting as the flash, not 100% necessary, I don't think, on that Seraphine ult, but he plays it safe. Kanavi ends up getting killed here on the retreat, and then watch the True Shot. It's crazy. Like, you could see there's a moment on the minimap where Aiming is just waiting. He is watching this fight. He's not looking at the Ashe because he's looking to line this one up, and he does. Still, a kill traded back onto Perfect. This ends up being a pretty even trade. The kill went over to the Seraphine, though, versus the Ezreal on the end of the fight.
Yeah, Zeus just pick up a kill himself, so a pretty strong Yorick in the side lane. I feel like, and I fear, that this Jace once again is going to have limited impact. I've not been a fan personally of the blind Jace, especially when there's so many good options into it, like Yorick being the best one, but we've seen so much Sion, even Cassante, all sorts of other stuff. Gnar, just being able to lane perfectly well into the Jace in this meta and have a bigger impact. Now, Zeus is still a Yorick, but he's very far ahead, even in the XP department. Like, he's almost 2 full levels ahead. Is BDD going to get chunked down? This should be a second dragon over to Hanwha Life Esports, because...
Okay, might get a steal. No.
Not going to happen, and it's Chemtech Soul.
As we predicted.
Yeah.
Even though you were hoping.
Today.
Yeah.
Makes sense. He's not locked in.
That's where KT have won most of their fights, right? Is those scrappy dragon fights, they opt out, which is 100% the correct choice.
Got a little arrow play here, and BDD. Ooh!
All right. Very awkward for him because he does not have flash, and he was walking towards the Aurora. So that was lucky for him, but could have been disastrous as Zeka potentially caught. No flash.
Yeah, a little face check for him. And he's just going to have to throw down the ult and get away from BDD.
Ooh, if BDD,
barely.
If BDD hits him before he can actually swing back to the other side of his ult there, he is probably just dead.
Yeah, I thought he had an angle. Effort is very forward here, and I think he just dies. Pantheon is going to come in. Cuz trying to save the play, but they just turn onto Cuz instead. Lots of damage going into him. Agumalo himself. Here comes Zeus from the base as they take down Cuz, who was just trying to save his teammate. And Effort is going to pay the price as well, going way too deep in the jungle. At least Perfect gets some solo time with the turret in top.
KT haven't learned yet this season. That's their first time facing off against HLE here in 2026, but do not opt into Hanwha Life Esports' game. They love those fights, and they will scrap with you at every turn. It looked like potentially a nice angle there for Effort, just completely falls flat on its face because Yorick is coming down. First of all, Effort has to dredge line away here. The ult comes out, so I think that's part of why they're like, okay, we can make this work, especially Cuz is like, all right, nice, Seraphine ult down, maybe we can play this. But Guma can kite away, he's Ashe, right? Like, it's so easy to actually win these extended fights with Ashe Seraphine when you're going so deep into the enemy jungle.
Oh, we got a little play here. KT looking to get aggressive once again. TP's coming in, and Delight is soaking up a lot of damage, as looks like the TP got interrupted, actually, by Perfect, and he gets away with full health. So that's very well done by Perfect, although I'm not sure if Zeus really wanted to TP in there.
Yeah, I was kind of like, they might be like, perfect, man. I guess it's really hard to watch both fights at the same time, but...
It's really scary, though. I don't know. Like, if Zeus TP's in, maybe they can fight because Perfect doesn't have his TP. I don't know.
Well, end result is Zeka's here. And Zeus doesn't have TP anymore.
Oh, the arrow is right on the money. That was crazy. The angle from Guma. And now Perfect, no flash. I think he still gets away, but man, the arrow is cool.
His rush is a hell of a skill. They are going to get this turret, which will be first brick. So end result here still HLE getting the win. And I think, you know, the domino effect of stopping that teleport probably end result again better for HLE. And it won't be a turret and trade. BDD will pick up on the top side. He has a gold lead over his counterpart. But it's crazy the impact both of these AD carries have made globally with their ultimates so far this game, even though Perfect does not die there. One of the things we've seen a lot in this game is how aggressively Cuz is willing to go in deep to either success at level 2 or his detriment. He was able to help catch and kill Delight, Squishy Seraphine moments ago, but it sometimes comes at a cost if you use all of your abilities on that support right before a team fight breaks out. As they are going to look aggressively to try to push this bottom side right now where there is no turret.
We got a hiding BDD. They're trying to kill this very tanky Yorick. They have the damage, though, with the Jace and the Annie. And Zeus, he wants to flash. Gonna go for the Fat Flash over the wall. Gets away for now as 1Q comes in. And that locks him in for the kill. BDD does follow through.
Yeah, very close to escaping there. And this is a win for KT because the turret was already down on the bottom side of the map. And TP is up for BDD, so he can actually catch this wave safely under the inner turret. So they really lost nothing. I mean, the red buff, I guess, is eventually going to go over here to Kanavi, but it's a very heavy commitment. And it looks like he will just barely get away from this dredge lining
We'll
Nautilus.
see about that. I mean, at least BDD doesn't have flash, but yeah, we got a Pantheon coming on over. Kanavi desperately trying to get away. He will have to use his flash to get out of this one. Even a Seraphine ult just to peel, as everybody on KT was ready and willing to fight there.
I gotta say, I don't think this is going to be a controversial take. This is a good game of League of Legends. It is back and forth. It is constant action. Great macro play on both sides. And we've had the entirety of this game be within like 300 gold, the difference. That's been swinging back and forth. The gold graph will have a very low peak, and it will be oscillating between these two squads. This has been incredible to watch, and this is what you expect to see against number 1 and number 2.
Yeah.
Both teams might be walking out number 1 if Hanwha Esports can pull off the 2-0, but right now it's tough to guess. This game is just straight up dead even. And the way that KT have been playing is pick base, and that's not going to change here for a while for Hanwha Esports get to the later parts of this game.
Yeah, very good vision, but baiting the hook from Effort is good work there from Kanavi, trying to essentially force their way through.
Now the arrow was also used here for
Effort.
Guma.
Oh, he's in a bit of trouble. Just gonna ult into that backline. BDD is just blown up and trade for Kanavi. As that is a huge pick already. Cuz has to flash away and the chase is on. The forward damage comes out from Zeka. And Zeus full health in the front line as well. KT get caught in the middle of their own jungle, essentially, as Zeus taking a huge amount of damage, but still the Maiden getting some damage in. Aiming barely survives, but a big fight here for Hanwha Esports.
And they're going to get this mid turret off of this play, which is so incredibly strong for them. This is a massive win. And for the first time, I think we have a real solid lead after a play here. And again, they're opting into HLE's game, trying to contest for vision here. And yes, it's a trade of kills, but it's not an even trade. Kanavi dying for BDD is so much of the damage lost here for KT as they frantically try to run away. And the Jace, this is not going to alone be able to offer enough damage in this team fight at this stage of the game. He did a lot to try to help peel, and as you saw, he used all of his abilities in hammer form there and did quite a lot of damage, but like the fight was already over. As Aiming is going to have his ultimate back up here, and we're still trying to contest for Dragon Prio here, but now Hanwha Esports have some extra advantages.
Saves back up. Level 14, and you know, we always talk about Yorick, how he doesn't necessarily have great engage, but he's kind of just walking at the enemy team and also using the Maiden pretty well to help frontline, help scout a little bit. doing a lot of damage.
Aiming just transformed his Muramana. This is a really important fight here for KT to get back into this game.
It's good timing, but Effort's taking just way too much damage early on, although now it's Kanavi who's going to pay the price as he goes way too deep for that one, but a lot of poke coming in. BDD gonna get hit by the arrow, and the trade is there once again. And the chase is on. Looks a lot like the last fight. Gonna get the flash here on a perfect. I think this time HLE can take the dragon.
Too much control, too much damage onto aiming, and KT are just gonna have to give this one up. Initially, it looked like it might have been a great fight for KT, but BDD's picked one more time. Zeka's going in.
Is here. Perfect's getting baited into this one. The burst damage and the just a bit of extra damage there from Zeus is not quite enough.
Yeah, he didn't have any ghouls to send in. If he did, I think that is a dead Jace.
They're just not taking the dragon.
Well, Kanavi was dead. Fairly risky call. Herald actually going to get dropped here very late into the mid lane. No one's piloting it though, and it doesn't have a wave, so yeah, it looks like it's just going to get the charge anyways, but to no value outside of the damage on the turret itself. It looks like KT want to try to use this dragon to set up for another fight as we just go again. It's time for round 3.
KT need a better answer, though. I think they need to really get their engage on their terms with their Nautilus, with their Pantheon, and blow up a target, but
it's not Prio, and Guma still has Flash. They have Tibbers as a potential setup here, but Cuz is going to have to go deep first to find that angle. And Effort's ultimate isn't online just yet. He doesn't have Flash either. He's trying to find a dredge angle. BDD on the blast cone.
Engage cone, the mega cone coming in here. BDD, though, not going to find the answer. They try to get a hook on a Zeus, and they're regretting that one as Kanavi lands the smite once again. Gets his ult off on a BDD, and down he will go. Meanwhile, Perfect just dies for nothing up in the top side of this fight. Aiming gets isolated in the pit, and just like that, the damage dealers of KT fall. It's an ace for Hanwha Life Esports, a triple kill for Zeka.
Hanwha Life Esports in a commanding position in this game now, and these BDD for Kanavi trades have not been working out, as these two are absolutely the captains, the champions of their squads. When you think about in-game and out, but still, it's not the trade they're looking for. BD dropping his stun onto the York, gets caught by the arrow on his attempt to dash away. Watch this. Goes in, tries to set up the follow-up here into Kanavi. Kanavi's like, I'm at 80%, or sorry, on Zeus. He's like, I'm at 80% health. Kanavi just uses his ultimate here because he knows he's dead, and the follow-up damage is there for Gumo, has the flash out. And even though the dredge line connects, there's no follow-up. Aiming is already used his
live, and now Effort's just going way too aggressive for this one. They want to get something off of the back of this. Actually, they do get Delight and Guma, and finally KT getting something on the map. They take out Zeus as well. That's 3 Barons. Just wiped off the Rift, just like that.
Yeah, the gold lead shrinks a little bit here. It's Kanavi and Zeka who have their Barons left, so one of those two still incredibly relevant. A little bit less so for Kanavi. A lot of damage done here by Perfect, and then look at the angle here coming through from the Ezreal flank. It's actually pretty massive. He's going to come in here and help clean up. Zeka's isolated on the top side as he gets chased down by Perfect. And they just didn't really have an exit plan here. Even though they had the damage, they were able to secure the Baron. KT were able to have the punish, as this turret is a bounty, but it will survive.
Yeah, last legs for that turret. And, you know, a couple of Chemtech Dragons actually not going to be too bad for the HLE side, especially with the Seraphine with 2 completed items already. You can just imagine how much value that's going to get as this game comes along.
It's amazing for the shielding and healing for the Seraphine, but with the actual soul itself, pretty good for Zeus, who has just been so difficult to kill and will actually offer so much damage back if he gets focused down. Now this bounty looks like, oh, it's actually fallen off already. So this is not going to be a bounty, but it will be a turret worth of gold.
We got just a bit of a...
It's a trade.
Yeah. Bit of a aggressive push from KT on the bottom side of the map. Essentially just saying, okay, we're going to take this part of the map, you take the rest.
It's good macro here from KT, though, because they have the group up with the Pantheon, so Zeus is even timid to catch that massive wave. And they can look to potentially defend here if Hanwha Life Esports overextend on this topside push. They're coming for them. Looks like they will see a retreat away.
Yeah, you can see that Kanavi in mid is trying to get extra value, extra map value. You know, oh, you overcommitted on the bottom side of the map. Let me try to do some damage. But yeah, he's essentially just has to stand there, and aiming just clears the wave. So not a lot of damage done through mid, and you can see the Rebel Baron power play, more of a penalty kill as it's 1,200 gold behind for HLE after getting that objective.
Yeah, so much gold given over in the team fight. I think they've gotten a little bit out of this Baron, right? They've chipped away at that inner turret top side, which is money for them, and a little bit of extra control as well as, like you mentioned, Kanavi was pinning, aiming down to allow for that play to happen top side. It's not going to be a Baron you're going to write home about, but it is certainly going to at least be some value gained here in the face of losing 3 members.
15 seconds on Baron. You can see that Zeka's just hanging out in mid, and the rest of Homolife Esports not willing to overcommit to this one.
Do not want to fight into this pick comp right now. That's some damage.
Yeah. I mean, Zeka, he's got 10 stacks on his Dark Seal. He's 5-1, and he's been landing some big ultimates. Like, the amount of damage that Zeka's outputting in these team fights has been pretty insane, even though it's been a lot of focus on, like, oh, Kanavi gets BDD, and BDD gets Kanavi, and everything kind of falls apart. I feel like Zeka quietly is just exploding people, as difficult as that is.
When those trades happen too, a pick like Ashe is just always going to be so difficult to deal with because you can't really follow up and go, all right, well, we got the jungler, we're a little bit safe to push forward as Jace, because the Ashe is just going to kite back and constantly keep you at bay, which is why I think that BDD's target selection needs to be top-notch. And if he doesn't have the best target, if they don't have the best setup, they probably shouldn't opt in. And they are.
Just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And neither does the depth charge. Aiming does have TP, so I think he comes back, but no ult for effort now for the fight.
Almost just feels like that's just Dragon alone off of that simple exchange without even an ultimate being burned on the side of HLE. Zeka just says, get the hell away from my lane. And like you said, aiming is going to TP back in, but the prio is immense. And they don't have depth charge. And they're going to try to front to back this, but
oh boy. And the amount of poke they have as they're trying to come in here, they just don't have the vision. They're just going to force it as Cuz ults the banana brush and hopes that enough. The Ghoulie wall is down, just trying to zone them away as there's the arrow and effort. Cuz never gets in, and look at this ult again from Zeka. The huge Seraphine hits 2, and KT fall down like a house of cards. HLE had total control over the river, and KT desperately tried to make something happen.
Yeah, they tried so desperately. They know the value of this Chemtech Soul in this composition, but they lost prio from the play earlier, or aiming had to TP back in, was pushed away. Dredgeline was wasted. And KT with this pick comp, just not all on the same page, but it's hard to be when you're this far behind. Now it's 5,000 gold the deficit. With 20 seconds here on the respawn timers, HLE are going to get some serious permanent damage done.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they want to stick around to try to end the game. Certainly a good call. 10 seconds on BDD with Flash and Tibbers available. So just going to take the mid turret.
So this ult here from Cuz is quite questionable, right? He's zoned away. Zeka's offering so much poke. Effort gets caught by the arrow, and Zeka just deletes him. Gets into the backside of the other side of the fight, and then they peel for him when he goes low to Cuz. And Perfect is just shoved out. Aiming cannot escape. And HLE just win the fight with, feels like with a snap of their fingers.
Yeah, big shout outs to Zeka and Delight in that one. I do not envy Effort, by the way, in this game. He's playing Nautilus into Yorick, which is always so rough. Like, it feels like, you know, when you play into Jarvan, and the enemy Jarvan's really good as well, just puts down a Cataclysm. We have Ghoulie Wall instead, and Ghouls, as this arrow's going to sail wide, but Zeka doesn't really care about that. Just going to essentially kill aiming, as now HLE, they have the blood in their sights. They want to get as many kills as possible. Aiming lines up a very nice true-shot barrage, but look at this gigantic ult once again from Zeka, and they fall down so quickly. HLE will be taking game number 1.
Zeka just made this game about him, mid-game and on. 1.2 thousand gold, the advantage over BDD with 8 kills to his name, and now it's just BDD. The last man standing. Cuz can maybe offer something, but I think this game is done, Valdez.
Yeah, and they want to put a little bit of extra salt in the wound right now. Kanavi goes down, but he doesn't care. He's not a KDA player, we know that. As the Nexus goes down, and HLE looks strong in their game 1 victory.
He falls super far behind. Zeus does way more in this game, and KT flounder when it looks 20 minutes on. And suddenly, all those trades, a lot of that gold going over to Zeka meant that if he interacted with you, you were either dead or, as you put it, practically dead.
Yeah.
텔 찍어놨어 여기 천천히.
한번 네. 걸자.
야 이제 봐 갈렸어 얘네 갈렸어.
제이스 노플이야.
이제 봐줘 이제 노플 페이스 노플이야.
맞아.
베이스 잡은 것 같아. 약간 빨리. 볼만해 볼만해. 봐봐. 뒤에 빤테 뒤에 빤테. 들어가. 앞으로. 미드. 웬만하면 이거 애니 풀고 있는 거 생각해라. 괜찮아. 나 W 뭉치지 마봐요.
괜찮아. 아 맞아도 W만 있으면 안 죽겠는데.
라인 지키면 좋아.
나 W 10초. 실드 사기잖아 이거.
내가 왼쪽으로 나머지 오른쪽 깨줘.
W
아,
8초.
왼쪽 갈게. 오른쪽 깨줘.
반응해볼게. W 5초.
너 여기 옆에 있잖아. 끝났어.
맞아.
요리 개잘하네. 명이 좀요. 나이스. 잘했다.
사거리. 뽀뽀. 꼬리 꼬.
캐디.